And we are live. Hello to everyone who's already tuned in, and nice to see you guys. Unfortunately, not in person like last week, but at least through the computer.
Yeah.
Yes, hi everyone.
Hello, what is?
Hi.
Okay, I think this is working, right? Let me
Yeah.
check. Things look fine. Already 60 people, which is okay. So sorry for everyone that wanted to watch this yesterday, but we had some last-minute changes and difficulties while we're traveling that didn't allow us to do it yesterday. So we're doing it today, but it's the 21st. Is it? Yeah, we have been doing this for almost 6 months now. 5
Fine.
months. 5 going to 6 months. So I think it's actually good work, and yeah, I'm surprised. Honestly, I thought at some point we will be like, okay, this is not going to be useful, but I think it has been quite successful. Even though some people meme about our podcast, I think it has been good, and we are doing a good job. So I'm happy with that. And hopefully, if we've managed to do it for an entire year, I think it will be really good. Imagine having an entire year of content.
Yeah, I
We will
don't think
finally
there.
be able to clone Mauro as an AI. I think that's his dream. We'll have enough frames and minutes of Mauro to train an AI.
Don't worry. We still have to go then for 55 or 56 years to beat the longest running TV show in Argentina.
That's true. That will be actually a good record. Okay, so today we have our usual engineering update that Mauro will take care of it. Um, he will explain some advancements that were done and upgrades. I think we covered a little bit GANs last week. I don't think we can just summarize maybe our thoughts, but it was already very it was addressed correctly last week. And then we'll talk about DevConnect and the podcast and announcements we did with Sobra. I think it will be good if we spend a few minutes covering how the partnership works, how they're using Aligned, how we'll collaborate with them in the future, what technologies we're using, why we're using Ethrex, what people should expect from these type of projects, and what other type of projects will use a similar solution. Um, and I think that's it. That's going to be our itinerary today. So Mauro, do you want to start?
Yes, so the Shinrin update, like probably the most interesting thing for people is that now in testnet we have deployed a Circum verifier, so now you can use an additional proving system, which is really useful for web applications and things that need to run local provers. So if you have a project or you want or a small project, yeah, either a project in production or maybe something you did in a hackathon and you want to test this on a line, you can now easily integrate. And this will be on mainnet, I assume, some time over the next week, mostly because as always this requires all the operators to upgrade and such. With this, we also upgrade in SP1 versions, so if you are a little bit behind, you can update and use the latest tech. On the rest of the work, like we have been improving our CK arcade stack game such. That you will be able to see soon. Hopefully, we will have a demo either by the end of this week or by the mid of the next week. But it's a full integration of some games with a line, some things on the blockchain that is very nice for people to play around and see how the server will look. Finally, we are doing some improvements on the concurrency model of the watcher on the fast mode. And that should be very useful for some reasons that are a little bit more technical, but we can dig a little bit more on next week. But the code is much cleaner. It has better parallelization and it handles better some edge cases. That's it. That's pretty much all the update. I don't know if you have any questions.
At least from my side, I think if people are watching and paying attention to what you have been saying for the last couple of weeks, is it to say that we're in the same direction of improving integrations, making things more reliable, and adding these demos or CK arcade stuff, and that's how we call it. So we have more example of what can be run on top of aligned. In this case, with something simple, right? Um, we will have applications and rollups on top of aligned that have different needs and requirements. But we believe this is something useful that people will be able to try and see how the process of building something quickly on top of a line should work. So thank you, Mauro. I think that covers that part.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Diego, do you want to explain what we are planning for the Connect, and also, of course, Mauro? But we use Diego as the public face for the event because I think both Mauro and I do not want to network with people pinging us if we will do tango or asado. So we use Diego as the proxy.
Yeah,
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 besides, I cannot troll myself, so if it is Diego, I can troll Diego a little
yeah.
bit.
But yeah, probably no tango, no asado maybe, but no tango. I have a friend who can, but I don't know if I can get him for the dates. No, speaking seriously, the idea is to organize a very technical meeting on cryptography to be able to gather most of the people working uh, on these topics, just to um, talk a little bit about, I don't know, latest developments, some of the recent challenges, and also like have a place for like open discussion and everything, uh, based on, for example, the things that happened during previous meetings of a group. I think they were really good because people came with some ideas. The others looked and said, "Oh, maybe here there is a chance for collaboration." And that way we got like several improvements in different fronts. I think it's really good to have this opportunity to meet face to face. Generally most teams are like always very decentralized, and now we need at least to, or it's good to gather at some point. And I think that Dev Connect gives us like the best excuse to gather all. Besides, we can do interesting things in Buenos Aires, and given that Aligned and Lambda are locals in Argentina, I think it's good to organize some event, get together. We still don't have like an agenda or even like the dates, but we know that we want to do it. And of course we are open to suggestions and everything, but we would love to have like all the teams building. I think it's really good. And besides, all the advances that we saw in this field came from collaboration and building in the open source. So
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. We are going to be locals, so I think it's a good opportunity to help that conversations like being possible, right? And the good thing that we mentioned last week is that we are in a very exciting times in the industry. Probably the word industry in this case is going to change a lot because the tech is actually being used for multiple use cases. So um, it's going to be very exciting to see people not only solve the technical issues but also come with different perspectives of the use cases or how these different teams are using it. Uh, and I think we are one of them. So it's going to be cool. I don't know if Mauro, you want to add anything?
We need to define action. Like, I think like there is room probably to do some more deep tech thing. Usually, there is some missing space to go really deep in some issues because I think most of the talks tend to be more introductory to topics. But then again, maybe we will do one introductory day and one, I don't know, one for applications and one for deep tech. We have to see, and we can try to check what I don't know what's more interesting for everyone. Do something cool.
Yeah. So if you are someone who is into cryptography, works in a cryptography company, or you just do open source work and you're going to be in Dev Connect, um, try to get in touch with us. We'll be sharing more stuff, um, and you will be interacting with Diego. So your responsibility, Diego. um,
I know I am the event guy.
you're the event guy. Yeah, you went from chemistry to cryptography and now to events. Um,
Now I just have to become a wedding planner.
that yeah.
What is this a Malfa I'm missing?
Not mine.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so we have the event in Dev Connect. I think it's going to be a very good event for us. We're happy that we'll receive and we'll see many friends there. And I believe we'll have a lot of stuff to share also in the event. Hopefully, we'll have demos and we will be able to participate in hackathons, all of these things. We're planning many of these things now. So when we have concrete things to share, we'll do. So yeah, quickly going over cans. I don't want to spend too much on this conversation, but for the people that didn't catch us last week, I think everyone agrees it was a good event. Um, Apparently, it was bigger than last year, but it felt smaller in a good way. Like smaller in the sense that things were centralized around one place, and at least for me, it was easier to not only move around but also have conversations that were useful without a lot of noise. It's very clear that there's less money going around because there are less side events, so things are less fragmented, and people have less money to spend on big events. But that led to things being more around Ethereum, and there were some other kind of small communities or ecosystems, but I think it was really cool. And uh, I believe that the place, everyone is on the same page that it was a good place. I think some people really liked that it was on the Mediterranean. I'm not a particular big fan of the beach, the sun, and the waves, but I thought it was a good place. The only problem, we need to add more air conditioners. Apart from that, I think it was a good place to meet with people, and it goes more or less in the same line that we have been talking. Things are moving, changing. Uh, Companies are just focused on tooling and very specific infrastructure without talking directly with clients or uh, improving their offering. Are having a hard time, and there are a lot of people who are really excited because they already are solving problems and they are facing different bottlenecks. And those are the people who, at least for us, I think is the most interesting to talk. And during its ECC and Cans, we spent time with Diego Fernandez, and we recorded a podcast with the rollup that went live a few hours ago. I think it's a really good opportunity for everyone that wants to learn how we're working with one of our most important partners, and what's their business, what problems are they solving, who are they collaborating with. And to summarize it, I think the interesting thing is that Sobra is an identity stack solution that is helping governments and institutions upgrade their services and stack to a world where they can use Ethereum as a backend for accessing trust. And that's important because in many of these places, trust is an issue, and not only trust but also technology. Like they have a huge technical debt that they haven't filled out, not even with Web 2. And many of these people are having an opportunity to not only upgrade to technology solutions, but also upgrade to technology solutions that reduces trust costs and reduces bureaucracy. And that's something many local governments want. In crypto, people usually kind of are find governments controversial in many parts, but in this case, is governments using the tech, not adopting the assets, to actually offering better services to their citizens. And I think that's really good. And because this tech can solve many of these part of these solutions, and they are a team that is already working with uh, local municipalities, institutions in Latin America, in Argentina, specifically in Colombia and in Mexico, and they have over 700,000 uh, users across all of their places that will use this tech. It's a migration, and they're starting with different problems in different parts, but by using that experience, they're building a product that they know everyone will need, and we're helping run part of their infrastructure and improving that infrastructure solution. All of this will be run using a rollup um, that is going to be built on top of Ethrex. So I think it's exciting for us, for Lambda class, of course, because this is using the technology as well. And I think Sobra is really excited that they're partnering with us because we are going to help them accelerate part of this migration of all technology in governments to using all those things. And we'll see. By doing this migration, we might learn a few more things, and there could be new products that are built by helping these people. I think part of everything that we're doing is also being in contact with information and receiving feedback on what all of these new use cases might need. And Align is going to be part of that, and we're going to put a lot of effort on helping Sobra not only with the tech but also in the communication and trying to explain to others, hey, this is what's going on, um, and I think that will be very exciting. I don't know if Guy, if you want to add anything specific.
I just wanted to maybe reiterate, like, we are building a roll up as a
I
service.
cannot hear you, Boris. I don't know if it's me.
How about now?
It is working. It is working. I think it's something on RJ.
Oh, RJ muted me. How about now, RJ?
I'm just continue maybe because just for the rest to listen.
We can wait a second while we debug. I can hear all of you guys, no problem. So maybe headphones died.
What were you saying, Boris?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to sort of highlight a few things that RJ said. We have been sharing a lot our roadmap and the different things we're building, including a roll-up as a service platform that leverages Ethrex and our proof verification layer and aggregation service to make it really easy for people to launch ZK rollups and based rollups on Ethereum so they can access Ethereum's trust. And yeah, definitely check out the podcast with Savra that RJ recorded. Because they dig into the details there. But what I wanted to say is why this is super exciting is because, you know, we're working with our first users, first customers of this rollup platform and understanding how to build this out and support them. So that way we can give everyone else a really good experience launching rollups. So definitely stay tuned and yeah, and follow Savra to keep on top of everything. We will, of course, be sharing it as well. But we're really excited. This is like a really impactful use case of crypto that goes a bit beyond pure finance, which is, of course, very, very important. But I personally think identity protocols are like a really impactful use case, and this solves a need for a lot of people in a lot of places in the world. So
Yeah, it makes your life way easier, at least having to deal with regular paperwork and all that. Sometimes you lose something and then you have to go renew everything. Now with these kinds of things, it may be easier, or if you have to, I don't know, buy a car and then show some documents. Maybe there are like ways and you can make these things simple, more efficient.
Private, secure.
Yeah, no, that's something that I find exciting, not only because it solves some problems, but also it helps us like then build other things on top of it. Now that you have like a good identity mechanism that is on chain and everything, then you can start building things.
It's also the whole digital ID, verifiable credentials side of crypto. I mean, again, like I said, this is something that this is one of the ideas that brought me into the space and showed me what this technology could be used for. But there's also a very classic use case of ZK that I think this kind of highlights. The idea that you can, prove verifiable information about yourself without revealing everything. Classic examples like you need to get you're renting a place and you have to prove that you have some credit worthiness. You don't necessarily want to tell your new landlord how much you make. You just want to prove that you meet some credit score threshold. Or you're going to the store and buying alcohol. You need to prove that you're at least 18 years old in a lot of places. But maybe you don't want the guy working in the store to know your address or your name. And these sort of verifiable credentials unlock those possibilities. So this is like, yeah, I think it's cool. I'm excited to be working with them on this.
Yeah, I think it's. Sorry, I left for a second. Apparently, StreamYard doesn't want me to hear Boris. It's not personal, Boris. I don't know what happened. So, no, I agree, and I will try to share more about all of these use cases. I know that also what happens is in the past, a lot of people heard about all of these things, but it was very abstract, and there were teams that they were doing partnerships, but they didn't end up providing anything, and it was not always very clear where it works, where it doesn't work. In this case, it's very concrete. So I think we have that advantage, and I think we should use it to explain it to people, and we'll help on that. And the last thing I want to say is I think the approach is also different from what other people are usually doing in identity. Like you have WorkCoin that goes, hey, I want something completely global without any government, and they're doing it on their own. If you like it or not, it's a different discussion, but that's a strategy, and they are incentivizing human beings to get onboarded to the protocol. And in this case, it's different. It's like, hey, they believe local governments manage a lot of services for people's lives, usually. Local governments, not at the nation level. So they're working with them, helping them upgrade and improve their services to their local citizens. And identity is usually local. So they're helping onboard and creating a protocol that helps the people who manage identity in those places already do something better. So I think that approach is very different from what we usually see in crypto, and it's also different from the work on strategy and for the CKTLS one. CKTLS is more like there are already a bunch of Web2 stuff that you cannot move around the data and prove that you own certain things. In this case, it's more like, hey, let's provide an infrastructure for things to be more verifiable. So let's move to a different stack. The other one is more from the user side, doing something without needing an upgrade on the service. This one is helping the people that provide the services upgrade. So I think that's very unique, and hopefully we can explain it better in the future. Okay, I think we covered everything. I don't know, Bor, if you want to add anything else. Okay.
No?
All right, guys. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Alrighty.
See you. Thanks for
See you next
joining.
week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.